We are now live. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here with us. I'm Tyler Ellison, and I am joined by some amazing people, Yahaira Vargas and Marcia Valverde. Thank you both for being here with me today.
Yes, thank you for having us. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Ask Ryok.
Hello, everybody. Love to be here.
Yeah, so today what we're going to do is I'm going to go into the state and bring Ryok through. So he's going to be announcing our upcoming transmission, which is going to be on the 27th of October, which is a Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's 12 in the afternoon for people on the East Coast of the United States. And in that description, he's going to be talking about what you can expect for the event, the subject, the content, etc. And once he's done with that description, once he's told us about the event, what it's going to contain, then the floor will be open for anyone who's listening to present to Ryok different questions. So you may have certain questions about your journey or about the collective or whatever, really. And this will be an opportunity for you to bring those questions to Ryok. And to do that, we have our YouTube chat. So on this live stream on the YouTube channel, there's going to be a chat box where you can type in sort of whatever you want. And you can type in your questions there. And you can really ask anything. If you do ask personal stuff, it's encouraged that you give as much context and specificity as possible when you're writing about personal matters or personal questions, just because we want to make sure we have as much information as possible to really give you a clear answer. Because when you're typing, there's just not as much of your energy or body language present when the answering is taking place. Therefore, the written questions provide oftentimes slightly more limited answers. So just be as expansive, as clear in your questions as you can be, if you do have personal things you want to ask about. And any subjects that are very fringe, like not a lot of people know about it, very uncommon material, for those types of subjects, if you want to ask about those things, just again, give as much detail, clarity, context as you can give, so we can provide you a very expansive, comprehensive answer. So that concludes my opening spiel. So without further ado, we can go into the state, and I'll bring Ryok through and he'll announce the event and we'll have time for your questions. So thank you again, everybody, for being here with us. Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I will see you at the end of our transmission. It is our species' highest joy and passion to be able to interact with each of you through this particular channel in our upcoming transmission titled journey into the center, we shall describe to you the changes that shall be taking place in relationship to the process that has been described as the splitting prism of parallel realities, and how that splitting prism effect is reaching a stage that represents acceleration. And we shall describe to you different dates related to this year and the following year that represent acceleration points in that splitting prism process. And we will also describe to you very in-depthly how you can blend the idea of polarities, light and dark, positive and negative, in a way that allows for the different elements of these polarities to merge into a center perspective, representing more of your true self, more of your natural self, your natural point of view. So as you accelerate through the splitting prism, you can accelerate and expand in a way that represents more of your natural self, more of your natural state. And as that process continues, what you will find is your inner world will reflect back to you more strongly your natural state. And you will notice as that momentum builds, your external reality will also begin to more holistically reflect back to you that natural state. And the natural state is achieved through the idea of blending together the polarities. For understand, you have the idea of the one, which creates within itself the energy state known as separation. And that separation within the one then creates the two. So as you blend the polarities, the energies of the two, light and dark, masculine, feminine, yin and yang, you then return to the one, you return to the center point. And that's why we talk about the neutral center as the place of true power, because it is that neutral center point that represents the origin, the emergence of all that is, of all things that you can possibly experience. We will also describe to you how this process of blending opposites, blending the qualities of the two, takes place, not just individually and personally, but also how it takes place on a global scale for your species, because this is a process, a blending process your species has been going through for some time. And now we will shine some more light onto that process so you can become more intentional in relationship to it. And so you can really work with the flow and the current of evolution itself, because that really is what the evolutionary forces are asking you all to explore: the blending of opposites, the blending of what you consider to be the different expressions of duality, blending these seemingly opposing things into the center so you can experience the perspective that is able to hold both. And through holding both, all things are seen as an extension and as an expression of who and what you truly are. So we look forward to delivering this information and more to you during that particular transmission. And we now make ourselves available to each of you for whatever questions or curiosities you would like to explore together.
Greetings, Ryok. How are you?
We are ecstatic and delighted to be able to have this particular interaction. How are you this day?
With overcoming challenges every day. But
how exciting.
Your transmission is what I need. So it's just beautiful to know that whenever I need something, it's just there and it comes. So thank you so much.
Yes, you are quite welcome. Remember, even we are a manifestation of energies that you are selecting. So just as you have said, these transmissions more or less are a gift that you are giving yourself through us.
Yes, definitely. Amazing how we create a reality so literal. Like, even though I've been with distinctions for so long, but it's just settling more and more and just coming to, okay, it's like this. It's like this. It is like this. So.
Yes, yes. May we share a little tidbit with you about that?
Yes, of course.
Many of you experience visualization as something you do when you close your eyes and you sort of daydream about something. However, understand your direct physical experience is also a visualization exercise that your spirit is performing. Everything is born of you. So even the solid, real, external, physical reality that seems to exist independent of you is nothing more than a visualization your spirit is dreaming up in real time. And the more you get in touch with that your direct physical experience is in fact a visualization, the more you can work with the underlying energies that give rise to what it is you are visualizing around you in real time.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, you are so welcome.
So we start with the first question. I feel triggered when I speak up in a group and there is silence in response. Also, I feel this seems to lead to an assumption of who I am. Often I feel that I'm defending myself against people. How can I see this with more clarity?
By defining silence as a positive thing. For when silence occurs in a group setting, the silence in many ways is representing many different processes that are taking place amongst the individuals that are making up the group. So the silence does not mean just one thing. It might mean just one thing to you, but that silence means something different to each and every single individual that is co-creating that experience of silence. Therefore, what you can do is begin to see the silence that is created more multidimensionally. You can begin to understand that to you, silence can represent something incredibly useful, something incredibly positive. So when silence then does emerge after you have spoken in a group, you can then use the silence as a form of positive reinforcement, thus allowing for you to maintain a preferred positive state of being, because ultimately that's really how you express yourself in a true, authentic way. It's simply through the idea of maintaining your preferred energy state and living your life from that state. So use the silence that is created in the group as an, you could say, external reinforcer of your own inner positive state, which can ultimately allow for you to experience more positive, preferential experiences with the individuals that are a part of your group. So as you see the silence as something positive, something serving you, something serving all that is, you will then allow for there to be more opportunity, more space, more openness in your group collective consciousness. So whatever it is you have spoken, whatever it is you have shared, through amplification by the silence, will then, let's just say, be able to penetrate more deeply into the consciousness of those whom are receiving your words. Because that silence also presents a space. And it's in the space where the information you have shared can then enter more deeply into the consciousness of the individuals that make up your group. So see the silence as a tool. Redefine what silence is for you. Because if you're having challenges with silence externally, like in a group setting, it's likely you also have your own personal internal challenges with silence. So if you can begin to relate to silence positively, you will find silence will serve you like a tool externally, and silence will serve you like a tool internally as you tune into your own inner stillness, your own inner silence. So really, one of the things you're being asked to look at here is your relationship to silence itself. And it will really change many things about how you experience your life. Because true silence is what enables you to perceive higher frequency forms of information. And oftentimes, your next steps, as you say, reach you through silence. So clarity, understanding, techniques, tools will be given to you through the energy you call silence.
Ah, beautiful. I loved it. Next question. What function do prime numbers have? What do they represent energetically? And can you give us some examples?
Prime numbers in particular represent foundational energy patterns. So the basic movement of energy is a spiral. So when you think of your spiraling patterns, what you're looking at is the basic movement of energy. Prime numbers represent specific portions, specific points in the spiral that represent what you would consider to be transformational events or moments that the energy goes through as it performs its spiraling motion. So think of the prime numbers as energy gateways that relate to certain themes of exploration. And as the energy moves through the spiraling pattern, it passes through the energetic gateways that are the prime numbers, and this then flavors the quality of the energy and informs its experience. So to learn more about this, one of the things you can pay attention to is your esoteric field that you call numerology. You can begin to learn more about the idea of prime numbers and some of the representations that they can point to, the underlying symbology behind them. And as you begin to understand the underlying symbology of the numbers, you can understand more in depthly how certain prime numbers influence or flavor consciousness and energy as consciousness and energy passes through the gateway that is the prime number. So pretty much every cycle, both personal and external, have an association with prime numbers and the idea of energy spiraling and moving through those particular gateways, thus informing the journeys that individuals and collectives have with the themes that the prime numbers represent.
Next question. Sometimes I walk in nature while listening to music or various channel transmissions through my Bluetooth headphones. I notice a pattern that when I hug a tree and tune into the tree, the Bluetooth signal stops working. And when I step away, it resumes. I tested it and it happens almost every time for me, especially for bigger trees. Could you please help me understand what's going on?
Of course, the idea is that when you are coming into close proximity to a tree, your aura, in a sense, begins to resonate energetically with the aura of a tree. The aura is partially physical energy in that it has an electromagnetic expression and connection to your body, but the aura is also made up of non-physical energies. So the aura has 1 foot in the physical reality, 1 foot in the non-physical realities. So when you aurically begin to resonate with the frequency of the tree and the tree's energy, because that auric resonance also has an electromagnetic effect upon your body and upon the electromagnetic forces present in the reality, the electromagnetic functioning of technologies can be temporarily disrupted as a result of the electromagnetic fluctuations that take place in the space through you blending your aura with the aura of a tree. Because that blending, that merging that's taking place between you and the tree isn't just something happening in the astral realm, in the realm of spirit, it's also something electrically taking place in your reality. So that can temporarily disrupt or interfere with your technologies because they also operate based off of the principles of electromagnetism in different ways and the understandings of it. So that's one of the reasons this takes place. Another reason is to, in a sense, invite you to listen to the songs of nature. So it's an invitation to perhaps, instead of just listening to your music, to also listen into the tree and the tree's energy. For there are a great deal of lessons and teachings, subtle aspects of information that the tree's energy can impart onto you, should you begin to listen into the tree and into the tree's energy.
Can you explain to us why mosquitoes bite certain individuals more, and how can we not get bit?
All right. Well, understand, sometimes the biting will happen for reasons that are more so based off of the energy of the land rather than perhaps what's happening in your body. Understand there are certain portions of natural environments that for certain periods of time will quarantine themselves off, specifically so certain natural processes can harmoniously take place in those areas. So sometimes mosquitoes and other varieties of insects will be used by the intelligences of the land to, in a sense, create a border or a natural repellent. So that way, individuals who may journey into that quarantine zone of nature will then feel somewhat annoyed or overwhelmed by the insects, the mosquitoes in this case, and will then leave, thus allowing for that portion of nature to be able to go through its transformation process without the introduction of any novel energies. So that's one reason these types of things can happen. Other reasons relate to the physical body actually desiring to detoxify itself. So understand that the mosquito will sometimes be drawn to a person whom is requiring detoxification as an externalized symbolic reflection of letting go, of purging. Because as you know, the mosquito is taking blood. And in that process of having blood taken, the body is going through a process of letting go. So oftentimes, if the body is saying there's something I need to let go of in a deeper way, one of the ways it can communicate that to the host, so to say, to the spirit in the body, is through attracting to itself mosquitoes, because the mosquitoes externally can symbolize that process of letting go, of detoxifying. And there are, for certain people, substances in the bloodstream that mosquitoes are drawn to in particular. This can relate to certain nutrients. In particular, there's a strong connection to sugar. So generally speaking, if individuals have a high blood glucose level, there may be, for those individuals, a stronger attractiveness to mosquitoes. So internal nutrition can also affect this, but these are some of the reasons. It's not necessarily a cookie cutter answer. There's a lot of variation in relationship to why mosquitoes are drawn to certain people at certain times.
Awesome. Next question. Why is the variant affecting more younger children now? What is the best way to protect them?
Well, again, you have the idea of the different wellness strategies that have already been shared amongst your people, such as exposure to sunlight, limiting sugars, ensuring that you are exercising, sleeping well. All of these basic wellness things are the things that can assist individuals in remaining strong and healthy. Because understand that the virus, as you know, primarily affects people that have what you call comorbidities. So really, the virus, in a big picture way, is designed to remind all of you about the importance of maintaining baseline wellness, baseline health. Baseline wellness and baseline health in its truest form comes from living in a way that is natural with your planet, with your human family, with yourselves, really embodying the energies of the natural self. When you truly do this, you will find your lifestyle will shapeshift in a way that represents a healthy, effortless, playful lifestyle. So that's what the virus is really assisting you all in remembering, in coming back to. And this is one of the reasons why the corona phenomenon is still taking place, because that's really the underlying message here, to return to nature. And it is that in and of itself that will dissolve the corona experience. When your species finally does this, that is what will assist you all in moving into the next chapter. The only reason the virus and its variants linger is because that imbalance has still not yet been fully corrected. So that's what you are all sharing with yourself. That is what you are all inviting yourselves to explore and dive into. So that same idea of ensuring that you are taking care of yourselves, that you are living in harmony with nature, that you are eating natural foods that boost your wellness, your immunity, all of these things can assist your children as well. Because these are, as you know, the basic things that keep bodies strong and vital.
Next question. How can Moldavite assist us with alien contact?
Well, the idea is the Moldavite activates what you consider to be the higher heart chakra. So near the center of your sternum, you have the heart center, the heart chakra. Near the upper 1/3 of your sternum, you have what's called the thymus gland, which corresponds with what has been called the higher heart center. So the Moldavite links the higher heart and the heart chakra. It allows for these two centers to come in to greater levels of resonance with one another. And when these two centers become activated, it allows for the communication abilities of the heart chakra to then be amplified by the intelligence and wisdom that comes from the higher heart center. So it allows for these two centers to work together so your heart's communication abilities can expand into subtler realms, into subtler dimensions. And these realms and dimensions are the same realms and dimensions that represent the domains of different extraterrestrial collectives and beings. So the Moldavite, through activating and linking these two centers, allows for your communication abilities to expand in very powerful ways. The other way this works is through the idea of brain-heart coherence. So, as we have said, the Moldavite will link the heart chakra with the higher heart chakra. It links these two centers, which will, in general, amplify and strengthen the electromagnetic frequency and field of the heart organ. And through amplifying the energy, electromagnetically speaking, of the heart organ, the heart then becomes much more capable of guiding and vibrationally entraining the frequencies of the brain. So the brain and the glands connected to the brain will then follow the cues and instructions of the heart, which in turn will allow for your pineal gland and your pituitary gland to work in harmony with the heart and to work in harmony again with the thymus, another gland. So it brings these different zones of the body into balance, which are the major psychic zones of the body. And this is mechanically how the Moldavite is able to assist you all in awakening your abilities to communicate with these extra dimensional forms of consciousness.
Next question. If Anu lived for a millennia, how did they manage risks different from us? Would they, for example, ride a motorcycle in a similar fashion that people on Earth now do on the street with the cars?
Please repeat the beginning of this question.
I believe he's talking about the Anunnaki, right? If Anu lived for a millennia, how did they manage risk different from us? Would they, for example, ride a motorcycle in a similar fashion that people on Earth now do on the streets with the cars?
Well, the Anunnaki in particular had more of an energetic relationship to physical reality. So for many of you, your primary relationship to physical reality is a physical relationship. However, because the Anunnaki were more extra-dimensional in nature, they were able to very clearly see that physical reality was nothing more than just a projection of consciousness. They were able to see very clearly that it was their own underlying energies that shaped and molded what occurred in the physical world. So as a result, because of this enhanced energetic perception of the physical reality, risk is something that is not really factored in the same for Anunnaki beings as it is factored in for all of you as you contemplate risk. Because many of you will see the unknown as a reservoir of risk. In the unknown, something unexpected might emerge and throw me off and perhaps hurt me. This is a very common, let's just say, human projection upon the unknown. However, the Anunnaki, recognizing that their energy is what creates reality, simply look at the unknown as a blank slate that can, like a mirror, reflect back to them whatever they need to experience in the moment. So whenever the Anunnaki experienced the unknown, instead of projecting risk onto the unknown, the Anunnaki would instead project onto it their own preferences, their own desires, their own energies, which would ultimately allow for them to use the unknown as a canvas that they could energetically paint upon. So because of this rather amplified perspective, the Anunnaki were able to mold and manipulate and bend the physical reality in all types of different ways that many of you are now just beginning to learn how to do. So much of the physical reality's operations and functions were something that the Anunnaki could directly influence and manipulate. Therefore, because more of their consciousness was involved in the physical reality co-creation process, they didn't really create for themselves many opportunities for, let's just say, negative, unforeseen risks to emerge. So that was their relationship with your physical reality, and why the Anunnaki did not really create reality in the same way that many of you do, which can amplify the phenomenon of what you might call risks.
Next question. Does Ryok have any angels as guides? If so, is any of them known to us? For example, Archangel, Michael, or Metatron?
Yes. I do work with beings that you consider to be angels and archangels. There's one angelic frequency in particular that I oftentimes will interact with to receive information, and that is the archangel you call Archangel Raziel. This particular archangel represents a deep knowledge of ancient civilizations, technologies, techniques, and through really understanding those ancient patterns and the ancient understandings present in some of these earlier civilizations, those patterns and understandings can then be expanded into the future because, as you know, things move cyclically. So through interacting with this particular archangelic frequency, I am able to perceive momentums of energy at their inception point and how those momentums may play out presently for my species or for yours. So this is a particular angelic frequency that I have engaged with on much more than one occasion.
How can we get deep enough into the subconscious to make changes in the program of beliefs that is running? How do we know that we are at a deep enough level for change?
Well, it all comes down to really penetrating into what the subconscious is. Because understand, what you call the subconscious really is an umbrella term for different realms and levels of realities that you're simply not conscious of. So within the subconscious, there's many levels. You have the etheric level, which we have already talked about. Many of you are becoming more conscious of it now through developing a sensitivity to electromagnetic forces. You also have the astral realm. You have the mental realm. You have the spirit realm. These are the major levels, you could say, that the word subconscious umbrellas. Now, understand, to access those realms, words are not really the tools utilized for properly navigating the subconscious. Pictures, images, movies, visual stimuli, these things, symbols, are what allow for you to access the subconscious mind. So when you begin to think in pictures, when you begin to visualize very deeply the changes you wish to create, the life you prefer to have, you are then, through that visualization, sharing that desire with your subconscious. These different levels, let's just say that we have described, the etheric, the astral, the mental, the spiritual, all have different correspondences with your physical body. For example, as you know, your mental level primarily connects to the brain, to the nervous system. What you consider to be your spirit level connects primarily to the idea of your pineal gland. What you consider to be the astral level has a strong connection to what you would consider to be your blood. And what you consider to be the etheric level has a strong connection to the idea of the electromagnetic forces that move throughout your body. So knowing this, you can take the visualization that represents the change you desire to create, and you can begin to feel that visualization happening in these different parts of your body to begin to impact and reprogram the different levels that make up the subconscious. In general, the interior of the body symbolizes the subconscious. The exterior of the body represents the conscious. So whenever you bring your attention in, you're working with the subconscious. And when you focus on these specific parts of the body that we have mentioned, you are then beginning to work with the specific levels that make up the subconscious. So you can go from level to level to level to level to level, starting at the spirit level, then the mental level, astral level, etheric level, and finally physical. And that will allow for you to program each level of the subconscious mind. Spend some time doing this, repeating these exercises of visualization of what you prefer to create. Really use your breath. Really use your inner vision to amplify and make these inner scenes, these inner pictures very vivid and very real. Once you have really programmed this image, this movie of what you prefer to create onto these different levels of the subconscious, the idea is to then create for yourself what you might consider to be magic words, like a mantra, something you can say to yourself mentally and even out loud that acts as a verbal correspondence to the visualization you have crafted. So in other words, create some type of phrase or affirmation that directly turns on and activates that visualization you have just spent time programming into your body. And whenever you then repeat that mantra or affirmation, you are then turning on the inner visualization. So your thoughts here, how you organize your thoughts, will ultimately determine how that inner program plays out into the physical reality. Because once you have programmed the subconscious with it, what is then required is that you live it. You become the living representation of what you have visualized. So you can use certain affirmations, certain thoughts, certain phrases that enable you to trigger the inner visualization at will. And once you have triggered it, once you feel its energy, the idea is to just let go and relax, stay present, and just bask in the positive feeling and operate from that place, and allow for that way of living your life to become more and more consistent. And what you'll find is that you will become the living embodiment of the visualization, both internally and externally. And when you have actually become the living embodiment of it, what the visualization points at, what it's directed towards, will then be what you experience as a manifestation. But if there are resistances to what that visualization is pointing towards, it will perpetually keep that reality at bay. So let there be congruency between your inner and outer self. And that is what will allow ultimately for that reality to manifest.
Next question. What is the role of sexuality in the awakening process and in becoming truly conscious as a human being?
Yes. Well, there's not one answer for this. There's many different ways sexual energy can be explored in relationship to awakening. So for those of you who have practiced Tantra or different branches of Kundalini Yoga, many of you already know that the sexual energy can be moved throughout the body. It can be brought up into the pineal gland, into the brain. It can be brought into the organs, the bones. And really, when the sexual energy is moved into these different parts of the body, it can spiritually activate and empower different parts of the body. It can awaken certain abilities. It can enlighten certain perspectives, depending on where the sexual energy is brought in the body. But that's just one application, because as you know, sexual energy is ultimately an energy that allows for a certain type of merging to take place, a certain type of blending to take place. So sexual energy can also be used to energetically merge yourself with different frequencies of consciousness. For example, sexual energy can be used to strengthen and amplify one's connection to a guide. That's an option. You can also use sexual energy to merge or blend with a certain reality that you prefer to create. It will fuse you, it will merge you to that particular reality. So sexual energy can be used for empowerment, enlightenment of the body. It can be used to assist you in merging with either a form of consciousness or a reality that you desire to deepen your connection to. If it's used with another person, it can be used for things like manifestation, both for material things, but also for spiritual things like insights and evolution. And of course, it can also be used to assist individuals in going into non-dual states. So that way, when two individuals come together, they can, through the sexual energy, activate different parts of their bodies, ultimately allowing for very powerful soul perspectives to be experienced by both individuals. So it can allow for you to channel in your own higher self, your own soul, your own oversoul, while you're in the physical body. So you can understand that perspective while you're here on earth. So you can use that perspective while you're here on earth. And in lovemaking, that ability to see those higher levels of the self become more available. Because as you know, in lovemaking, you are essentially merging with another person, which represents another you. You're looking into a mirror. Therefore, when you look very deeply into a mirror, you can see all types of different things, including these higher dimensional aspects of your own consciousness.
I would love a transmission just on that.
Yes. It's likely this will come. Again, we're pacing
Yes.
many of these things. We're allowing for all the individuals whom are tuning in to reach certain points in their journeys before some of these topics are shared very openly. But yes, that is something that is probable to be delivered by us.
Awesome. Next question. If Sirius sends us water element frequency that balances out excess fire, who sends us air element frequency and what is its function?
The air element ultimately relates to what you consider to be cognition, intelligence, imagination. So, individuals whom are what you consider to be geniuses, savants, philosophers, these are individuals that have a strong connection to the air element. Individuals that seem to understand the mechanisms and the workings of both the material and immaterial realities have a strong connection to the air element. And the major civilization that is connected to the air element that works with your planet is the civilization made up of beings that have been called Venusians. So they have a strong connection to the planetary intelligence that you call Venus. And members of different soul families or soul groups relevant to Venus have incarnated into your Earth experience. The being you call Tesla was connected to such soul groups, soul families. So it is the energy of Venus and the energy of the Venusians that ultimately, for your planet, really nourish and balance the element that you call air.
From your perspective, are there any genetic, energetic, or any other significant implications for children conceived through in vitro fertilization as practiced on our planet currently?
Please repeat the beginning of this question for us.
From your perspective, are there any genetic or energetic or any other significant implications for children conceived through in vitro fertilization?
In relationship to subtle connections, many of these children share oversouls with hybrid children. So many of the children whom are conceived through in vitro fertilization have a strong oversoul link to different hybrid children. So these children, when they're born on Earth, may have strong connections to these different extraterrestrial groups that may translate in different ways as different skills, different interests that are perhaps made up of themes that relate to art, science, and spirituality. So these types of children may have a natural gravitation towards those particular themes of exploration. In relationship to raising such children, ensuring that they have a strong connection to nature, the ability to easily access natural environments, this is something that is quite important for their development. Ensuring that they have a space to really express themselves, this will also be very important. And those are really the two biggest things to pay attention to. Ensuring they can really explore and dive into nature, and ensuring that they have exercises, games, things that really grant them an opportunity to deeply express themselves. And this will allow for their energies to very easily flow through them, thus allowing for them to ground more deeply into the physical reality, because it is that grounding that will ultimately balance and assist them. Because as we have said, they have strong oversoul connections to extraterrestrial realities. So for them, grounding and learning how to playfully exist on Earth will be one of their major themes.
Wow. Are the Tic Tac craft able to travel interstellar or just around Earth?
They are able to travel between stars. Yes. Yes, this is able to happen. Oftentimes, there are other craft that are utilized for such types of voyages or expeditions, but these craft also have that ability, and they have that ability through the idea of being able to change their locational frequency. So it's just another way of talking about teleportation. The occupants of the craft are able to shift the locational frequency of the craft, which causes the craft to vanish, let's just say, from its present location, which then enables it to then reappear or emerge at a new location that matches what the new locational frequency has become. So they do that on your planet and over your planet as their major means of travel. So it appears to all of you to look like movement is not actually movement. It's teleportation. But that is not always very easily observed or processed by your brains. So oftentimes when your brains observe this, they will create the illusion of movement to fill in the blanks. But really these crafts are teleporting. They're blipping out from one location and blipping into another, so to say. So they do this above your Earth, they do this beneath your oceans, and they do this in space as well.
How best may I move through the distorted masculine and its polygamous tendencies while beginning the journey of monogamous sacred unionship with my partner?
One of the things you can do is understand what it is you desire in relationship to polyamory or being with multiple people. What is it about that attracts you, that draws you in? Because if you find you are attracted to that lifestyle, it means there's something there for you to discover. It doesn't mean you actually have to walk down that path and become a polygamist or become polyamorous. But what it does mean is that you at least investigate what that attraction is. And you do that through understanding what polygamy or polyamory represents to you as a symbol. In other words, what does that symbolize to you? What do you believe you will get out of living such a lifestyle? Make a list, become very clear. I believe that lifestyle will give me this, give me that, help me experience this and that and this and that. Make a comprehensive list so you really understand the meanings you are subconsciously giving polyamory or polygamy. And once you have really understood what that as a symbol represents to you, you can then begin to use your imagination to see how you can create those same things in a monogamous relationship. What that will do is it will allow for your monogamous relationship to become much more multidimensional. Because understand each of those different things that the polyamory or the polygamy represent to you are things that you all contain already. Because everything is fundamentally one thing. Therefore, you can find any quality in anything if you allow for yourself to have the imagination and the openness to perceive and receive it. So what you'll find is that this is actually an invitation to explore more deeply and more intensely with the partner you have chosen for a monogamous relationship. And what you'll find is if you really engage them on all of those different levels, there will always be novelty in the monogamous relationship. There will always be something new to explore. There will always be a new flavor to try, a new way to look at things, a new way to relate. So it will keep things fresh. It will keep things fun. It will keep things flowing. So that would be our suggestion for you.
What is your perspective on the CE5 protocols by Dr. Stephen Greer for human-initiated contact with ETs?
We see it as a very positive first step in a process. In other words, this particular practice that you call the CE5 method for many individuals is a very powerful and very positive first step in relationship to initiating contact. What you will find is through remaining in your heart and through learning how to very clearly communicate with your own higher mind, is that different techniques, different steps, different tools can be utilized that can build upon the momentum that the CE5 exercises generate. In other words, think of the CE5 exercises as one ingredient in a recipe called open contact. And once you are familiar enough with the CE5 methods, you can then begin to expand and you can begin to include more ingredients that will ultimately work together to fulfill the recipe that is open contact. So if you find you really gravitate towards the CE5 exercises, work with them, but don't just stay there. continue to use your higher mind and your intuition to really dive into what is possible with contact and contact protocols. Because you will find you may channel into your own consciousness contact protocols that may actually be more efficacious than the CE5. You may find different exercises and tools come to you psychically that allow for you to go deeper into your contact experiencing. But CE5 for many can be a good first step to assist you in at least opening that door, so you can then begin to become more receptive for your own methods that can assist you in deepening contact experiences.
Are the laws of mathematics the same in all universes?
No, it varies from universe to universe.
It says, I had this thought, it can be possible that numbers have a different value in other dimensions.
Yes, and not all numbers exist in all dimensions. And what we mean by this is what you call your numbers are nothing more than symbols that are used to represent different frequencies of energy. Not all universes, not all realities utilize the same number energies, let's just say, in their organization and makeup. For example, there are certain realities that exist that translate specifically as the frequency of what you call the number 1. And there are other realities that exist, such as your own, that blend the frequencies of what you consider to be 0 through 9. So how numbers operate and the types of numerological energies that are present from reality to reality will vary greatly, depending on the nature of the reality in question.
Okay, someone was asking about the next transmission, I guess the next Ask Ryok. If you join the Ryok channeling Facebook group, it's announced 1 day or 2 days before, so you know in advance. And it's already 2:05.
All right.
Okay.
If you wish, we will take one more question.
Okay. What is the point of ascending Earth to higher dimension if we can just take an incarnation? Is a different civilization that operates there?
Well, understand that part of your process now that you're going through in this incarnation is a process of transformation, in a sense, is a process of becoming. Because life on Earth is becoming, in terms of linear evolution, a more refined and spiritualized version of itself. So what you consider to be the idea of your present moment on Earth is a past reality to a more evolved version of Earth, where your species has evolved into a species of light beings. So right now, many of you whom are on Earth presently are sharing incarnations with individuals on that more spiritualized version of Earth. So you are already simultaneously are having an experience of becoming physical and slowly evolving towards non-physical. And you are also having the experience of being non-physical. And from that spirit perspective, you are all guiding your present selves up the ladder. So many of you have, let's just say, oversoul connections, not just to this version of Earth, but also future versions of Earth. And these different versions of Earth and the occupants are assisting one another in evolving and growing. So it's this and that. We thank you all so much for this exciting co-creative interaction this day. It has been so fun to interact with all of you in this way. Our unconditional love and appreciation to each and every single one of you. All right.
Well, Tyler, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. I hope that was good. I'm trying out some new channeling techniques, so I'm always interested to see how the information flow changes, if it gets better, if there's bumps, but did a new technique in my own world to bring that through. So I hope it went well.
I just want to clarify about the next transmission that they're asking. So we have the paid event. I don't know if you want to explain that. And we have the Ask Ryo, that it's what we're doing right now.
Yes, sure. So we, every month, we do 2 events. So one event is no cost. And what we did today is an example of that. So it's a public Ask Ryok. And we do at least one of these a month. And in these transmissions, Ryok will announce the upcoming paid event, just like he did today, but he will also spend 45 to 50 minutes just answering questions that all of you have. So that type of dynamic, the Ryok Q&A live, is a monthly thing that we do. So there will be another one in November and another one in the month after that, and it will continue throughout the year. Now, in addition to that public Ask Ryok Q&A, we also do a private paid event. And the private paid event is what Ryok announced in the beginning of this transmission. So we have one private event per month. Tickets are $35 to attend them. And they are 2 hours in length, these monthly paid events. And in the 2 hours, Ryok will share the major teaching or theme of the transmission. We call that like a monologue. He'll monologue about whatever the major thing is he's talking about. And then in that session, there will also be a very large Q&A portion where you can ask one-on-one questions with Ryok, not over text. You get to actually speak them, so you can go deeper with him into whatever areas you want to dive into. And then there's also a guided meditation at the end of that to really dive into the teaching. So those are the 2 events that we do every month. We have the public Q&A where we announce the paid event, and then we have the paid events. Those are our 2 monthly events.
And then just join the group, Ryok Channeling Facebook groups. We update, there's always information there, and we share everything about Ryok too. So
absolutely. Yeah, great community there. A lot of people will share sessions, they'll share their questions, their experiences. So if you're looking to meet really cool people, the Ryok Facebook page is definitely a great page to do that. I see so many cool posts on there, and a lot of really great minds are present on that page. So I think you'll enjoy it. And we also have a Patreon page too. It's not just Ryok stuff that's on there. I also post a lot of my own teachings and messages, on the Patreon page as well. And all of our paid events eventually make their way onto the Patreon page. I offer them there sort of as like an archived library. So the Patreon memberships include sort of an archive of the Ryok transmissions, but also on the Patreon page, we go over things like energy techniques, magical techniques, and how to use energy and chi to create things in your life, in your reality. So the stuff on there is really powerful. A lot of people that do these practices that are a part of the Patreon page say a lot of things change for them. They become happier, things flow better, they're able to manifest specific things. So you'll find a lot of great content on there. And all the stuff I teach on there, I also do myself. So, you'll find that I'm giving things that have been tried and tested, done time and time again. So anyway, those are the 3 major platforms you can find me on,
beautiful. And I just have to say thank you again, Tyler, for doing this. It's amazing. I guess everybody here in the chat too are very appreciative and very grateful.
Oh, thank you all so much. It's always a pleasure to do these things. And I gotta say, this whole thing keeps me tethered. You know what I mean? I think about what my life would be if I wasn't doing this stuff. I would probably be like in the woods somewhere. I'd be very off the grid. So I feel very tethered by these Ryok events, and I'm very grateful for that. It's nice to be a part of society and to do something I really like doing. So thank you all for helping me in creating that possibility. I couldn't do that without all of you and your support. So thank you all for being a part of this family. And Yahaira, Marcia, you're both so great. And I thank you for sharing this wonderful hour plus with me on this nice Sunday.
Thank you, everybody. I'm very happy to be connected to all this community that is connected to these teachings. It's very profound to be connected to these specific people that receive these teachings, right? So thank you, everybody.
And it's getting deeper. Like Ryok is going into deeper stuff every time. Like we had like the basics, right? With the other channelers before, and now you're like taking it to that level. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
Oh,
like very specific themes.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I appreciate that. I do. And it seems to be where we're all going, right? We're just learning how to refine all this stuff more and more and more. So it's like the more you hone in and refine, it's like the more specific things can get. So thank you all for seeing that. And yeah, I'm excited too. I'm also kind of with everyone here on the edge of my seat being like, all right, let's see like just how far we can go into this direction, you know? So it's a fun collective exploration that we're all taking.
Exactly.
Great. Well, everybody, I'm going to sign off for now, but this recording will be on the YouTube as a archived Ryok Live, so you can watch the replay. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the event. I'm going to post the link in the description, but just send me an email through tellison700@gmail.com and just tell me you want to come to the event, and you can purchase a ticket from me right through there. So I'm looking forward to this wonderful transmission, and I hope you all have a really fun and spooky October. I hope so.
And you get the download link. You pay for the Zoom live and you get a download link too.
Oh yeah, thanks for that. Yes, your ticket purchase for this paid event will also include a recording of your own personal recording you can have for the rest of your life, you know, so enjoy the recording.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, everybody take care, and we'll touch base again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.